This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Curaleaf, one of the nation's leading providers of adult use and medical marijuana products, with 90 local dispensaries, 22 cultivation sites, and 30 processing facilities, all serving up more than 350,000 registered patients and customers in 23 operating states. Learn more about all the good work done by everyone over at Curaleaf at their website, curaleaf.com, with Curaleaf spelled C-U-R-A-L-E-A-F. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, September 17th, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 981 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Kyle Yeager Marijuana Moment grabs our top story on the day with an update to the grander storyline involving the scheduled vote in the U.S. House of Representatives on the proposed Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, better known as the MORE Act. We picked up on this just last week as the news broke that the House planned a vote on the MORE Act for later this month, which would be a historic event given that the MORE Act would effectively legalize cannabis at the federal level. Kyle's update on this one is not a great one, as the office of Majority Leader Steny Hoyer confirmed today that the vote on the MORE Act would be held sometime, quote, later this autumn, unquote, which more than likely means after the November elections. As Kyle has it, the concerns held the day in the House of more moderate Democrats who feared that a vote on a cannabis bill before action on coronavirus relief would be bad politics. Kyle has a deeper story on this worthy of a full read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Kyle has our second story on the day today as well, with a swing to the east to Vermont, where it appears that state lawmakers in the House and Senate have agreed to a compromise version of Senate Bill 54, which would set up a taxed and regulated adult use marijuana sales program in the states that legalized everything but sales back in 2018. Lawmakers have been working on Senate Bill 54 all this year, and as Kyle is reporting, apparently have come to an agreement on all the major issues, including tax rates, testing protocols, and the amount of local control that towns and cities have. As it stands now, if passed and signed into law, Vermont Senate Bill 54 would set up a 14% excise tax that would stack on top of the state's normal sales tax of 6%. Police would be required to get a warrant to conduct a saliva test of a driver suspected of driving under the influence of cannabis, and there is some measure of advertising and marketing that will be allowed by the industry. Senate Bill 54 also has a number of social equity provisions and would set up a cannabis control commission to oversee everything. If you do business in Vermont, and even if you don't, this is a decent story to read in full. Vermont was the first state in the U.S. to pass adult use legalization at the legislative level, which makes it worthy of a little bit of extra attention. We wrap up today's top stories in Illinois with a relatively good headline of a record month of sales, with just under $64 million being rung up in the month of August, which is important given that July is when enhanced federal unemployment benefits ran out. Illinois legal cannabis shops sold $61 million in July and have seen more than $360 million in sales made since the start of the year, when sales officially began. The fact that August sales were as strong as they were in Illinois is a good indicator that legal cannabis might actually be so-called pandemic and recession-proof, though it's obviously still too early in the game to say that with any kind of confidence. One of the things that Illinois does that I just absolutely love is to break down their marijuana sales by in-state and out-of-state numbers. Of the roughly $64 million in legal cannabis sold in Illinois in August, just over $17 million came from out-of-state visitors. That's money that should have gone to other states maintaining prohibition, but instead that went to Illinois. Those are 17 million reasons why those other states need to get with it and to legalize themselves. Those are the top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz on in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's leading providers of adult use and medical marijuana products, with 90 local dispensaries, 22 cultivation sites, and 30 processing facilities, all serving up more than 350,000 registered patients and customers in 23 operating states. Curaleaf is proud to be an active supporter of the Veterans Cannabis Project, which works to expand medical marijuana access by military veteran patients. Curaleaf has partnered up with the Veterans Cannabis Project for a very cool promotion where customers and patients can purchase a specially branded Veterans Cannabis Project box of pre-rolls at select Curaleaf shops, and then have a portion of the sale go to helping the Veterans Cannabis Project further their work. You can learn more about that very cool cooperative effort at curaleaf.com and vetscp.org, where you can dive into more about how you yourself can help. That's curaleaf.com, spelled Curaleaf, and vetscp.org. Big thanks to everyone in Curaleaf for the support that helps us keep the podcast train running. All right, time for the Blitz. Kyle's back with another headline, picking up on news out of Washington, D.C. that a group of 7 members of Congress are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to take up a lawsuit filed against the Drug Enforcement Administration over its refusal to change the Schedule I status of marijuana, brought against the DEA back in 2017 by a coalition of activists and medical marijuana patients. We've covered this one a number of times over the years as the activists and patients have fought to move marijuana out of Schedule I so as to open up federal medical marijuana legalization, but they've been thwarted along the way by the obstructionist DEA. The 7 lawmakers filing the amicus brief include Representative Earl Blumenauer of Oregon, Barbara Lee of California, and Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. Kyle Story has more details here if you need them. The Phoenix New Times takes a good look at how things are going in Arizona in preparation for the launch of a new program testing legal medical marijuana for contamination. Medical cannabis has been legal in Arizona for a while now, but so far marijuana products have not been required to be tested. So there's some worry in the industry that supply could be temporarily disrupted. November 1st is the kickoff date for required testing in Arizona, so there's going to be a lot of work between now and then done in the state to get prepared. If you're in Arizona, you better be on top of this storyline, and if you're not, this still could be instructive to watch, as testing issues are seen in every state where it's a thing. Canadian marijuana company Fire & Flower Holdings just announced its second quarter 2020 financial results for the period ending August 1st, with total revenue clocking in at $28.6 million, up from Q2 of last year's $11.1 million. That rolled out to a gross profit of $9.9 million and an adjusted EBITDA loss of $300,000. Fire & Flower shared a number of operational highlights in the release accompanying this news. Click over if you want. Florida-based multi-state cannabis operator Tribue just announced that it is raising $76 million through the sale of public securities underwritten by Canaccord Genuity. Tribue has extensive operations throughout Florida as well as in the states of California, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, and says it will use the proceeds of this round to pay for their ongoing and expanded operations. And finally for today, we have the Growth Op reporting that rumors are being spread out west in communities affected by wildfire that police are serving warrants on cannabis farms abandoned due to evacuation orders. The Humboldt County Sheriff's Office is issuing statements that police are not issuing warrants or otherwise executing raids in areas hit by wildfire. As we reported on recently, California's Humboldt region, otherwise known as the Emerald Triangle for the fine cannabis grown within its 3 counties, is being threatened by the August Complex Fire, which stands as the largest wildfire in California's history so far. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Curaleaf, and to our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.